if you've got a small garden at home and you are doing your gardening there and you're doing your farming there, whatever it might be that you are doing from your home or from your farm or from wherever space that you have, we get into conversation on that every Tuesday morning between 9:35 and 10. So yeah, that's always the place to be. Now, joining me for this particular episode of Garden Talk is Onward Maruma. He's a chief consultant at Afrostain Farming Technology, and we want to dive into a conversation on sustainable management of poultry production. I know most of us, we are involved in poultry, especially mazuano. Unetutsuro twako, unetuturodzana twako, twaunato pamba pako. But how are you going to, involve yourself in a way you're going to have successful poultry pamba pako, and how are you going to keep that quality? There are a lot of things that you have to consider, the quality, the quantity, the costs as well as the whole management of your poultry. But then the most key point to note is it has to be sustainable. Yeah. So as you manage, you have to have at least a background or a few skills that can enable you to be that master poulter that we want to always be engaged with and getting our poultry from. So Onward Maruma is joining me for that conversation. Good morning, Onward, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me to the Garden Talk show.
Excellent. Now let's get straight into the conversation. Of course, I'm not an expert in poultry, but I really am keen to be involved in poultry. But perhaps as a point of departure, what are the major categories of poultry production, and what are the major differences anyway in how they are managed?
Okay, let us firstly categorize our poultry base in terms of their requirements, types, and all that. So firstly, we've got laying beds, which is the laying poultry part of it. So this is the industry where we get the eggs. In this case, we can talk of commercial layers. Mostly common kept breed is Highline Brown. Then also we've got roadrunner layers. These are the eggs which are kept for eggs, and they are normally the roadrunners, those indigenous beds. Then also we've got the guinea fowl, is also part of laying beds, whereby we can get eggs from those guinea fowl, and we know it as hunger, Then also we've got another category, which is the meat breed or meat poultry section, whereby we are keeping our beds for meat. In this case, we can talk of the commonly known broilers. Then also roadrunners are also used as a meat flock. Then also we have the guinea fowl is also used for meat. Ducks, quail, and turkeys, they are also used for meat. Then also we've got the dual purpose poultry bed. In this case, we are getting eggs at the same time after the life expectancy of that bed. We then get meat. For instance, we can talk of the roadrunners. We can keep it for eggs and also keep it for meat as well. So in this case, they are differ in terms of management because of their physiological requirements, because of their needs. In this case, let us talk about their feeding requirements. For laying beds, their feeding regime is different from the broilers because of the outcome we want to get from it. Let us talk about the layers. They need more calcium. Why? Because we need eggs from it. So we need the shell to be stronger. In this case, we can put calcium grit in it, or in our formulation, we can also include those feed ingredients which contain calcium, so that we can improve the quality of our eggs. Then also for broilers, what is very important for broilers? They want meat, so we need fast growth. After 5 weeks, we need to get income from our broilers. So what it means, we need more proteins. In this case, the range of crude protein content should be 12 to 14%. Okay, that is the part of feeding. Then let us talk about their breeding. Breeding differs from poultry fish from one type to another type. So let us talk about the roadrunners. They lay their eggs according to season. Normally in winter we receive a lower number of eggs. Why? Because of the lower temperatures. So in this case, we now need to improve the temperature of our brooders so that we can improve temperature in the house, so that we improve the number of eggs laid.
Right. Quite a number of requirements there, and I totally now can see why the management differs in terms of what they require and what is what is needed for each category of production. It's 9:40. We're gonna listen to these messages, and soon after that we come back and we continue with our conversation.
There are so many issues that affect us all. On Chewing the Cud, we look at all angles on all issues so we get better understanding and a clearer picture. Make informed decisions about the issues by listening to Chewing the Cud with Rumbidzai Venge on Capitalk 100.4 FM.
We're still going on with the conversation. 19 minutes before 10. I am with Onward Maruma, who's a chief consultant with Afrostain Farming Technology, and he did justice actually in explaining how the management of different categories of poultry production done. I understood the idea of the laying beds, the mixed breed for meat and poultry, and the dual purpose poultry as well. Now, my second question to you, Onward, would be which is the category that most of us are involved in, probably tiri kudzimba kwedu or kwakasiyana siyana, and why are people really majoring in that particular category of poultry production?
Okay, the idea is on the management practices. Some of the poultry animals, they need simpler management practices as compared to the other. That is the chief reason why people, they are now going for the other category, leaving the other category. For instance, let us talk about road runners, broilers, and layers. These are the most common commercialized poultry production here in Zimbabwe. The first thing is that in broilers, usually we can sell, or our broiler can reach a slaughter weight after 5 weeks. In this case, it means we have got a shorter payback period, which means you get income after a short period of time as compared to maybe road runners. That's why most people, they are into broiler production. So in that case also, the road runners, they also need the small scale farmers, especially the resource constrained farmers. Why? Because in terms of feeding, in terms of parasite and disease management, it is very easy because they tolerant to those parasites and disease. So farmers tend to go for that because there's less input required when we are talking about drugs, So that is the chief reason why people, they are going for road runners. Mm-hmm. And also for broilers, we want broilers because even in terms of market, the ease of marketing. We can actually market our broilers after 5 weeks, and the market is very easy. Demand is very high due to increase in the population of in Zimbabwe. So we don't have a challenge in that. That is the reason why people, they are going for broilers, hesitating for other market, the other poultry. Let us talk of maybe turkey or hunger, the king fowl. People, they are leaving it because of the market. Some people, they say turkey meat is not that good as compared to the broiler meat. Even in terms of color, the guinea fowl meat it is not whitish as compared to the broiler. That is the reason why people, they are going for that.
Right. Well understood there. Now, Tombo probably I've chosen my category of poultry production, and what other factors in terms of management are to be considered before someone ventures into a certain category of poultry production?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Before you venture into poultry business, you need to consider some of the factors so as to avoid losses when you are into production. Let us first discuss about the startup investment. Firstly, you need capital to start your business, your poultry business. You need to buy drinkers, you need to buy feeders, you need electricity for water, So you need capital. And for housing, it's also the important part when you are into poultry. A farmer needs to be compliant when it comes to housing. The structure needs to be that efficient in order to accommodate the animals. In this case, let us talk of layers or even broilers. they need a complex house which need to house all those animals without giving challenges to ventilation. So a farmer needs to consider that before production. Then also the issue of water available. Is the water available for your poultry animals? In this case, the broilers, they need more water, even more than the feed they require. So you need to consider that. And in terms of palate, that water needs to be of high palate in terms of freshness, free from acids, because we need to produce tender meat which is sellable on the market. Another factor which is also important before venturing into poultry is the issue of market. As a farmer, are you able to sell that meat at a cheaper price or in the local to avoid those transport costs? Maybe the reason the product. So we need to consider the market in that local space. In that case, we can see the meat of roadrunners currently is highly demanded because of its highly nutritional value as compared to the broiler. The issue of fat content, the broiler is more fat as compared to the roadrunner. That's the reason why people are now going for roadrunners for health reasons.
Right.
Then also another important factor is breed. Is the breed available before you venture into your poultry business? And also you need to consider the type of breed you are going to keep before you start an operation. For instance, we have a variety of breeds in roadrunners, a variety of breeds in broilers. So you need to choose one breed which is good for your area, which is good even for your capital. Let us consider the cocoa breed in roadrunner. It is a very good breed because it's a dual-purpose breed which can be kept for eggs. It can lay up to 350 eggs per year. It means you can get more income from that. And also for meat, it also produces a tender meat which is of high quality as well. Mm-hmm. That is very important before you strategically into poultry business.
Right. So onward, mistake iri kuitwa nevarimi vepoultry vazhinji pamwe ingakanganisa zvinhu zvakaita sequality yavo tingati ndeipi?
Okay, let us discuss some of these failures in poultry business. Once you fail to achieve this, it means even in terms of quality will be poor, even the growth rate of your animals will be poor, proneness to even pest, parasites and disease will be high. So we need to consider that. First important is the biosecurity. Small-scale farmers are reluctant to control parasites and disease through biosecurity because maybe due to additional cost of production. So in this case, it is very important for farmers to put footbaths and wheelbaths on the entrance of their poultry houses. This is done to cater for transmission of parasites and disease. Let us talk of avian influenza. Let us talk of the Newcastle. Once you allow an authorized person to enter into your poultry section, it means they can transmit disease into your section. So it is very important to put a biosecurity and you put a detergent in the water so as to disinfect the cause of the disease. In this case, one can use the fire kill. Okay, the other thing is good preparation before your poultry beds arrive on the farm. You need to thoroughly prepare before they arrive on the farm so as to reduce stress on your poultry beds, so as to cater for parasites and disease. In this case, we can put our heaters for temperature, especially in this time of the year where we are experiencing low temperatures. It is better to put heaters like infrared or some heaters so as to manage the temperature. Then also in terms of ventilation, we need to put ventilation using curtains so that we manipulate the freshness in the poultry. In this case, we are trying to eliminate carbon dioxide and ammonia from our poultry houses. This is very important to achieve high growth rate in our poultry beds. The other thing is the litter, which is bedding. It needs to be managed. Farmers, they can relax on it, but it is a very important thing when it comes to poultry. Why? Because we need to have it in our poultry house. So in this case, we can use the bedding made from wheat straws, grasses, or chaff from wood. It can help us in achieving good heat in the house.
Right.
Then another important factor is the feed management. This is very critical. Why? Because we need to achieve high quality meat. We need to achieve good quality eggs. This is achieved through feeding. As we are strengthening outreach for profitable venture into poultry, we need to consider this. In this case, let us discuss of laying farm who is targeting to produce high quality eggs. He or she needs to have a good feeding regime. In this case, let us put more calcium because we need good quality eggs which is a proper shell. So let us put more calcium. And also, in terms of quantity of feed, we should not waste the feed. Let us put less feed so that to reduce cost of production. Once we put more than 125 grams of feed in our layers, it means we are now experiencing high cost of production and high wastage. In that case, we now have a loss. Then another important thing which is neglected by farmers is environmental manipulation. In that case, we need to make sure that the temperature is well managed. Humidity should be managed between 70 and 80%. Then also ventilation need to be managed using curtains in order to eliminate carbon dioxide and the ammonia, which are toxic to our poultry beds. Right. And this is fostered by our farmers.
Ndanyasobata pa feed management about ndo panowanza paita, and you actually highlighted it as a critical component of achieving a successful breed of whatever poultry that you are into. Now, poultry projects are now considered a key entrepreneurial skill set for survival, especially in this fragile economy. But how then, Semurimi, can I convert my poultry project from a largely subsistence to a commercial setup?
Okay, the idea is to shift from subsistence farming, the way of living, where we are now targeting market. To master this, the important aspect is management plus quality and quantity, so that we can commercialize. You can't commercialize if you are keeping probably 5 or 10 road runners that make sense.
So management plus quality plus quantity.
More pain.
All right. So management plus quality plus quantity as well.
Yes.
All right.
So
All right, so briefly, as we unfortunately our time is running out, but briefly as we wrap up this segment, what's then the yardstick in terms of attaining quality, within a certain poultry project?
Okay, through that, to manage quality, let us feed our beds very well using right quantities and right mixing proportions. Nowadays, we now have the maggot farming, whereby we are using maggots which have got high crude protein content in feeding our pets, especially for broilers. We can achieve better quality through that. Then also selection of a proper breed is also very important, especially in our road runners. There are some breeds which produce more eggs as compared to the other, so it is very critical in poultry. Then another thing which is also very important is market securing. As farmers should secure their market, probably through value addition, other than selling the whole carcass. We can actually add value to that, and we mix it with other ingredients so that you can sell it in other specialized markets, rather than targeting informal markets whereby we are losing a lot of money. Why? Because of those in middlemen.
Right. Well understood there. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thank you very much, Onward. Ininangu, as someone who wants to venture into poultry production, I really now have an idea of what I should concentrate on in terms of coming up with a poultry project that is successful. Now, briefly, how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, as Afrostain Farmtech, you can contact us through our business line, which is 071 268 9214, or directly contact me through my personal SIM card, which is 0717 660 or get in touch with me through my Instagram, which is Onward Farming.
All right, excellent. Onward, thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for giving us this also important information.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, excellent. 6 minutes before